Hey, what's up? My name is Lisa. Welcome to For the Love of Creating. Today I'm going to walk you through this very simple tutorial that beginners can do of the Aurora Borealis. Let's get started. Okay, so to get started, you want to have a black canvas. Today I am working with a 9 by 9 inch canvas, but you can use whatever size you want. The same premise is going to apply for everything that we're doing. So with that, you want to have Ivory Black, titanium white, a raw umber, sap green, metallic blue, and then a metallic purple. And then we're actually going to mix metallic blue with the sap green, so I just went ahead and started it there. And so the first thing we're going to do is put in the background colors of our Aurora Borealis sky. And with that, we're going to need this pretty teal green. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this first. And then we're pretty much just going to layer it and then draw in the pretty Aurora Borealis sky. And this color we're coming up with right now is one of my favorites, just like a really pretty teal green blue color. And these are going to mix as we're putting them on the canvas. So as we're going, we'll just go ahead and it'll be fine if they mix on your palette. So there's that super pretty color. Oh, I'm in love with this color. Okay, and then we want to add a little bit of water to each one of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and add just a little bit to each one, just to make it a little bit more fluid in this stage of the painting. And that will just go on really nicely and blend out. And we want it to be a little bit thinner so that we can put a lot on it. So then when we do the white, it's gonna pull all of those colors forward. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So there's that one. Go ahead and clean off my palette knife. Mix in that water to the blue. You guys see that? I don't know how well the glitter is looking from the metallic color. And then we just want to add a little bit of water to our purple. Just to kind of thin it out just a little bit. You can also use different painting mediums if that's something that you enjoy doing. For the sake of this painting though, water is just fine. You can just use water to thin it out just a little bit. And now when we layer these on, obviously we're doing it onto a black canvas, so that water also, it's just because it's going to thin it out, which is going to help with the way that it looks going on. So we still have that black kind of coming through like the night sky. And then to get this on our canvas, I'm just going to use this wash brush. And we are going to start at the top. We're going to start with purple and then we're going to come down. Now we are going to have around the outside, it's going to stay black, and that's kind of where our forest is going to come through. So we're not worried about bringing the color all the way to the edge, leaving about maybe like a finger's worth of black there. And then we'll obviously go over it with more, but you can get like a good amount of the black is a good, finger's worth of the black. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this purple started, and we're just gonna start up here and pull it down. So, and it is okay if you go to the edge. We're just gonna, you don't have to worry about going to the edge though. Make sure we get lots of the purple. And then as we're coming down, we'll go ahead and add in our blue. Oof, what a pretty color. And just blend that up, blend it back down. grab our teal, bring our teal in down in the bottom. All the way to the bottom. And then we want this to stay pretty wet when we get to the next step. So we're moving pretty quickly, but just go ahead and blend it out until you're like really happy with how it's showing up for you. And again, we want a lot of paint because we want it to look really nice when we start adding in our white. So it's definitely okay if you have a lot of paint still on the canvas. Just as much of a gradient as you can get. Just blend that up, 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 up. Beautiful. All right, off to a good start. So go ahead and clean out your brush. Make sure you dry it off. And then this should all still be very wet. And we are gonna come in with just a round brush. And we're gonna draw in where we want our Aurora Borealis to be with our white. So you wanna get a good amount on your brush. And I just got my brush wet just to get it activated a little bit. You want a nice good amount because this is where when we pull it up, it's gonna drag that color up. And then we're just kind of gonna block in where we want the Aurora Borealis to be. So I want like a few, like maybe 3 or so kind of going across. So I'm gonna start down here in this corner. Do a pretty dramatic turn for this guy. Across. So you're just kind of making like an S pattern, just little curvy curves. We got 2. I might add just kind of another, just the little guys in here a little bit. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. And so now what you want to do is we're gonna go ahead and rinse off that brush. And we're gonna grab a very dry, bristly brush, and we are going to pull that white up, and we're gonna grab the color that we have near it as we are going. So I have a very another Artist Loft brush for crafting, not even for painting. And it's about 3/4 of an inch, and you're just gonna put it into that side there, press it down and pull up. Okay, so press it down and pull up, and you're gonna get that same pattern. You're just gonna follow that all the way up. When you get to the sides, same kind of idea. You're just going to turn your brush and then pull up. And as you're going, just wipe off your brush, get any of the excess paint off of it, pull up. Especially as we're changing colors. Again, make sure you're just washing off your brush in between those pulls up. And then if you're liking how it's looking but you want to add a little bit more, you can go back in with the round brush and you can add more white and kind of do like a second round. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'd like a little bit more definition in some of these places. So as you can see, I just kind of like dab it on there. We want to make sure it's white, 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 white. And we can see how it's just kind of giving it a little bit more structure. Especially in the spots where we want it to go. Just make sure we got that going on. Just right up to the edge. That's why it's really important you have your brush super clean. That way you're not putting paint on the canvas where you don't want it to go. All right. So now I'm just kind of going over one more time where all of our swoopies are. Just to give it one more set of direction. And then you can really see where all of that color is coming in. And now I'm going to go in with a smaller flat brush and do the same thing. So I'm just going to pull it up. Just leaving that line there nice and tight. So you can see it's just giving it a little bit more structure, Looking good, y'all, looking good. And that kind of gives us like two pieces to look at. You can see how much more definition there is now in that line. I'm just gonna do that all the way up with all of those pieces. So you're leaving, you don't want to go to the bottom of it, you want it to leave it there so that it has that line still, but we are getting that going into the rest of the up swoops. And same thing on the last one. All right, and so when you're happy with it, then we are going to start the next part of this process, which we want to go ahead and start adding some stars just to the background, the foreground, all over the place. And you can see how pretty the metallic is starting to look behind everything. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So that same bristly brush we were using to swoop up the first part of this, we want to do the same thing. We want to use that same brush. And you can see it's nice and dry now, but it's got this like, you know, lots of texture going on. That's how we're going to get our stars on here. So we want a little bit of water on our brush, not a whole bunch, just like enough that we're giving it a little bit, and we want to just pick up some white, and it's going to be mixed in with the colors on the brush, which is perfect because we want our stars to look super cool. We don't want to do that though, that's too much water. Just gonna pick that up. Way too much water. And then you're just gonna tons and tons of stars. We love the super starry sky. All right, I'm making a mess. Let me clean up my mess. All right, so now go ahead and clean out that brush. We're gonna go ahead and take a minute and let that dry out before we go in and add our forest. Okay, so the next step is we wanna add our forest around the outside, and the idea is that you're like on your back looking up at the beautiful stars and the Aurora Borealis. So we're just gonna go right in with our black to start. And this is going to be our focal point right in the center of the painting. And the idea here is all of our lines are going to go towards that. So we'll start with our corners. And you're going to make a line. I'm using a round brush. This is a 2. I'm going to start with like a 2-inch line. And that's just going to be the corner of this side of the forest. And we're just going to go around and do the same. They don't have to be quite the same length, but just to find our center and do our trees going in that direction so that we have a good reference as we paint the other trees. So again, we want to come towards the center, and you're going right on top of what we've already painted. And so now we can kind of see we got our four corners. We can see the direction of all of the trees. And so now all you're gonna do, and what I like to do just because of the way my mind personally is I'm gonna go in and do all of the middles also between the two, so that I can kind of see moving forward, like, oh yeah, there's the focal point. I need to be somewhere between those two as I'm drawing these lines. This would be a really cool clock idea. If you wanted to like paint a clock face, I might do that. That actually sounds super cool. Right in the center. But we're just kind of blocking in the direction our trees are gonna go. Starting with some lines. So you can kind of already see the illusion starting to happen that we're like looking up and we can see the trees around us. So now if those are your tallest trees, you're just going to want to go in and fill in the rest of the trees. And so you can do smaller lines or bigger lines, but what we're going to do for the trees themselves, so you have an idea of what it'll look like. We'll start with maybe this one in the corner. So pick any corner, and you're going to take that round brush and you're just going to draw kind of dots. You're going to zigzag down to fill in our trees. So just kind of zigzag across and down. And so this is the tree that we're seeing. Lying on her back, looking up, seeing those shadows. And that is kind of what it's going to look like. So we're going to have all of our trees with similar kind of texture. Just going down. And it's just going to turn into this clearing that we're looking up from. And that's kind of the idea. And so we're going to want all of these filled in, and you can have as many or as few trees as you'd like. And then I also wanted to give you the option, if you want to add in some brown trees, maybe just like a slightly different color than just pure black, that'll give it a little bit of dimension. So you can add in, if you mix the brown and the black, maybe a little bit more brown. This would be a tree that's maybe a little bit closer, kind of implying a different one. So maybe a little bit shorter, but a thicker tree. And you can add a few of those in there, just so it's different going between the two, and you can kind of see a little bit more than just the black sky up there. So that's an option for you. And you can do them all different sizes and shapes. Just kind of fill them all in. You can even leave some space for where the sky is coming through. And you just want to fill that in all the way around. So let's see, I'm gonna add another tree here. And just use your best judgment. We're doing a lot of implying where the trees might be, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in some more brown trees too. I'm liking the contrast. I think it looks pretty good, so we'll do that. And then you just kind of alternate between them. And so I'm just keeping my brush kind of angled down to give us different sizes and shapes and things. So you can do the same thing. You just want to draw that initial kind of center line, and then you're just kind of putting it at an angle, and then you're just kind of dabbing. And so I'm just using like the very edge of my brush and using it to create all of that texture of where the leaves and things would be. You can see how like we're just slowly adding in more detail, more tops of pines, and again you're just gonna follow that all the way around. I love how that looks so far, so we're just gonna keep going. And so these taller trees, you're also going to want them to be just a little bit bigger in as they're coming down. These are like the big boys, right? They're sticking up all the way, so you can make their branches go out much further than some of these other ones. And so again, you can see I'm just kind of alternating between the black and the dark brown and kind of a mix of the two, which is just giving us a lot more visual interest than just the straight black. Although if you like how I kind of like how that looks also. So I guess it just depends how you're feeling. I think on a different day I might have just done all black. And then you can just keep adding in, going back in, and like maybe you want to add some more trees in the background. Definitely recommend that. I'll just make it look fuller and more dense. So this looks pretty good to me. I'm just gonna keep moving, and I actually think, because it's so nice with it right here, I'm just gonna rotate the painting. Or should I? I guess I shouldn't. No, I will. I'm gonna rotate the painting. Oh yes, all right, I like this. So again, same ideas, we're just coming in, we'll start in this corner. Honestly, I have a hard time doing these tutorials because I love like moving the painting and like getting in there, But I hope it, I hope that this helps you guys out as you're doing what you're working on. I feel like this is gonna make for a very interesting time-lapse video though. Oh, look at these big, beautiful trees. Makes me want to go out into a cold place and drink hot chocolate. Beautiful. This guy looks a little bit bigger than the other ones I've been making, so maybe we should give him some more big friends. So I think I'm just gonna start here, and I'm filling in all of the black trees first, and then I'm gonna go back in and add the brown trees in kind of the middle, and then kind of build it out from there, because that feels good to me. And it's kind of good because you can start to like balance how many trees are different colors in different areas a little bit more easily if you do it that way. We'll go in with some more. I need to make some more. There's black, some brown. Funny that brown just made me remember I have coffee. So I'm liking the size of these trees a lot. I like the smaller ones over here, but these ones are like, there's a lot more dimension. Like I feel like I'm like in the forest more. So I might go back in and do them a little bit bigger on that side. And then you're just filling in the trees here and there, wherever it makes sense, wherever it feels good to have them come in. You could just have a lot of peaks, you know, different sizes and things. Adds a lot of interest to it for sure. So sometimes I get really like structured and uniform when I'm making stuff. So I have to remind myself to like let it be imperfect, and kind of like the imperfection is what makes it look more realistic, you know, because you're never gonna have like a perfectly structured tree forest. with like the same exact number of trees everywhere you need it, you know? So keep that in mind as you're painting. Like, it's okay if it's not like exactly what you're trying to do. Just kind of go with it, feel through it. I'm sure what you're doing is epic and you just don't even know it. And it's just so much fun. Who really cares, honestly? Okay, all right, that's good. I think I'm pretty happy with that side. I'm gonna, again, rotate it because that's really helping me see it well. Oh yeah, cool. This is looking so cool. I hope yours is also looking super cool. I'm just having way too much fun today. Okay, let's go back in here again. And again, you're just kind of like drawing them down, drawing the branches down. Okay, I'm going in with some browns now. I think I want a like heavier brown one also, so we'll just get some black, not as much as before, to get more contrast between the two. Yeah, that's good. And same thing, just going and filling in where they could be. Keeping that same angled brush look. Going in with some more black ones. looking so good. How are you guys doing? Do you have any questions or how to do this? I'd love to see how you guys are doing if you want to send me the pictures. I think I'm pretty happy with this side. We just got this one more left. Yeah, this is looking so cool. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit more over here. And let's do our last row of trees. Thank you so much for watching today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and that you have a beautiful painting of your own. Make sure that you subscribe and like this video so that you can stay up to date on all of the new painting tutorials. I'll catch you next time.